Hello and welcome to this explainer. I am just absolutely thrilled to invite you into our world today. We're going to be exploring the true long-term discipline of yoga, exactly as we teach it right here at Pratimoksha, Dubai's premier yoga studio. So if you've ever wondered what a genuine, highly structured yoga practice actually looks like as it evolves over time, well, you are in the exact right place. Let's dive right in.
Let me ask you a quick question. Are you expecting quick results from your yoga practice? Honestly, it's totally okay if you are. We see this every single day. Being based in Dubai, we regularly welcome these incredibly high-achieving professionals into our space. You manage demanding careers, super tight deadlines, and you're just used to finding fast, efficient solutions. You're probably trying to solve your wellness as quickly as you'd order your morning espresso. But in our experience here at Pratimoksha, genuine wellness just doesn't operate on a fast-track schedule. So today, we're going to look at why we take an entirely different and, frankly, far more rewarding approach.
Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. First, a quick welcome to Pratimoksha. Then we'll hit the 6-week mark and physical adjustments, followed by the 6-month point of internal awareness. After that, we'll look at the 2-year mark of lasting transformation, and finally, wrap up with your own Pratimoksha journey.
All right, let's start with Section 1. Welcome to Pratimoksha and moving beyond the quick fix.
So we view yoga as a continuous evolution. It's really not a 30-day challenge or some short-term program that just quickly drop a few pounds. You see, living and working in a high-stimulus environment like Dubai means your nervous system is literally constantly absorbing demands. To actually counter that, our founder Lalitha Viswanath structured our teaching around 3 very specific milestones: 6 weeks, 6 months, and 2 years. And the reason for that is simple. What happens at the very beginning of your practice barely even resembles the profound discipline you're going to experience at that 2-year mark.
Moving on to Section 2, 6 weeks, physical adjustments. When new students begin their individual program with us, those first 6 weeks are usually a time of, physical awakening. Joints that honestly haven't moved through their full range of motion in years finally begin to open up. You're really finding a foothold here, not a quick fix. And during this phase, you might feel a bit of frustration. Poses that look incredibly simple when a teacher demonstrates them might feel super rigid or just difficult in your own body. Your mind might wander. Actually, you might feel a pretty big gap between what you want your body to do and what it's currently capable of. But I want to reassure you right now, this is entirely correct. It just means the practice is actively working on something real, giving you a vital foothold in your busy life rather than just offering a superficial, easy return.
And what brilliantly illustrates the magic of these early weeks is how you feel right after you roll up your mat. Our new students constantly report experiencing this very specific kind of quiet. Not tiredness, but something closer to order. It's like your highly stimulated nervous system has finally been given the exact task it was designed for. You leave our calming space feeling structurally realigned, both physically and mentally.
Between that 6-week and 6-month mark, you'll start to experience these quiet, foundational, structural changes. For instance, your breath capacity genuinely expands. We actually see a measurable shift in how fully the lungs recruit. And those postural holding patterns, like, that shoulder that always rides high when you're stressed at your desk, those become visible to you, not just to our teachers. Your sleep quality often improves dramatically, which is just huge for our corporate clients. And perhaps most importantly, your threshold for agitation actually rises. Stress doesn't magically disappear from your workday, but your nervous system gains so much more range to handle it.
Which brings us to Section 3, 6 months, internal awareness.
Now, this is where the internal landscape begins to significantly change. You shift from mechanically doing the poses, like treating it as a physical puzzle to solve, to actually noticing your breath, your movement, and your stress responses. The poses basically stop being a checklist. And what's truly fascinating is that this newfound internal legibility starts showing up off the mat too. Students will tell us they suddenly notice how they physically tighten their shoulders when a deadline shifts, or they realize it takes them way less time to calm down after a really difficult meeting. You literally begin to read what your body is doing and why it's doing it.
Our founder, Lalitha Viswanath, has a brilliant insight regarding this exact milestone. She notes that the 6-month point is often when students stop asking whether yoga is working and start asking different, much more interesting questions about it. The whole mindset just utterly transforms. You're no longer treating the practice like some transactional gym workout. Instead, you are cultivating a deep, inquisitive relationship with your own well-being.
And to facilitate this profound shift, our progressive programs at Pratimoksha are expertly designed to avoid generic sequences altogether.
We meet you exactly where you are, both physically and temperamentally. We literally calibrate the practice just for you. So, as your awareness deepens, our teachers adapt your sequence to nurture this personalized growth, making sure your practice evolves right alongside your internal awareness.
Let's look at Section 4 now. 2 years. Lasting transformation.
Let's dive into a bit of classical yoga philosophy that our founder deeply embeds into our teachings. It centers on two fundamental concepts: abhyasa, which means consistent practice over time, and vairagya, which is the detachment from outcomes. Now, achieving 2 solid years of consistent practice, that's unusual. Life intervenes, travel disrupts routines, we get it. But the students who stay with us this long have usually pushed through periods where the practice felt really difficult, and they just continued anyway. They have cultivated abhyasa and vairagya, and that leads to an incredibly healthy relationship to effort itself.
And because of that incredible dedication, the 2-year practitioner experiences far less internal fight. You develop a more readable body, a much less automatically reactive mind. Don't get me wrong, difficult poses remain difficult, but your reaction to that difficulty completely changes. At the 2-year mark, you are vastly more patient and honestly just more honest with yourself. You become far less interested in the mere performance of being a good yoga student and fully invested in the actual transformative experience of the discipline.
Finally, Section 5. Your Pratimoksha journey, committing to the discipline.
You know, our internal observations at the studio align perfectly with cognitive studies on this. When you compare intermittent practice to long-term practice, the data clearly shows that long-term practitioners score significantly higher on mindfulness, interoceptive awareness, and emotional regulation. In fact, for our desk-based Dubai professionals, studies show that the most pronounced cognitive improvements really start to appear at the 6 and 9-month marks. Substantial, life-changing benefits simply require time to accumulate.
Which leads us to the core realization of our most dedicated long-term students. And it's this: stop trying to rush the process. When you treat your wellness as just another activity to be squeezed into your calendar, you're only going to get fleeting results. But when you step into our premium space and really allow yourself to treat practice as a discipline, structured, progressive, and expertly guided, well, that is when the profound, life-altering change happens. You simply have to give yourself the grace of time.
And so I want to leave you with this powerful question to reflect on today. 2 years from now, what would you want to have built? A more resilient nervous system? A quieter mind? Maybe a body that actually supports you through every deadline and demand? That question is definitely worth sitting with right now. We'd absolutely love to invite you to begin that long-term rewarding journey with us at Pratimoksha. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. We really can't wait to see you on the mat.